Welcome friends to TV Box Stop. It's a new year and I have a very special new TV box for you today. Back in January 2019, I did a video on a box that became the best-selling TV box that year. That box was the A95X Max that ran on the Amlogic S905X2 CPU on 4GB of DDR4 RAM, 64GB of internal storage, running on Android 8.1 Marshmallow operating system. What was unique and made it so popular was that it came with one of the first internal SATA expansion storage bay that could accommodate a 2TB 2.5mm hard drive that you could have used as removable storage or converted into shared internal storage. It was also popular because it solved the major issue of limited storage on TV boxes. It had DDR4 memory, and it also allowed you to install an internal cooling fan on the main board that had a chassis fan power connector. So for 2021, A95X is at it again with the release of their latest model called the A95X Max 2, sold by SCBox on Amazon.com and on the AliExpress store. This new model runs on the Amlogic S905X3 CPU on 4GB of DDR3 RAM, 64GB of internal storage, and it also possesses the same expandable storage feature of its previous model. So the question arises around its performance and the difference when compared to its previous model. So is it going to be another bestseller like its previous model? And are there any new features to look forward to? To find out more, don't go anywhere. My full review is up next. Welcome back, and let's have a look at what's inside the box. You have the second generation A95X Max 2 TV box itself. You get one IR remote, one HDMI cable, a 5V 2A DC power adapter, a pack of screws for mounting an external hard drive, and a user's manual. Now, a quick look at its design and its input-output ports. The entire body is made of plastic with the A95X branding to the top. At the rear of the box, you have one HDMI 2.1 port, one RJ45 Ethernet LAN port, one USB 2.0 port, one optical audio port, one AV port, the DC power input, and a latch to remove the top cover. To the left side, you have three USB 3.0 ports, a micro SD card reader, and some cooling vents. On the opposite side, you have some more cooling vents. At the front, you have an LED display. Below the box, you have four rubber feet, vents for installing an external cooling fan, and some additional cooling vents. If you remove the top cover, you have the caddy for the 2.5mm hard drive or SATA SSD. I will now connect this to my 4K TV and a capture card and continue. So I'm all set, and when you start up the box for the first time, you will see an A95X animation for a few seconds, then you will be presented with a quick startup wizard. Once you have completed the wizard, you will be taken to the launcher. So this is its launcher. It consists of this main horizontal scrolling panel with shortcuts that cannot be changed, and this shortcuts bar at the bottom. With this shortcuts bar, you can add multiple layers of shortcuts and you are not limited to just a certain amount. To remove any shortcuts, simply press the menu button or long press the OK button on the remote and the option to remove will appear. At the top here, you have a one-click memory cleanup button for freeing up system resources, and you can access the settings area by selecting or clicking on the settings gear. This launcher comes with a navigation bar and a status bar without system controls. And finally, they have included a wallpaper app that you can use to change the wallpaper from a selection they have included. I will later in the video attempt to add a custom wallpaper. In the apps section, you have lots of apps pre-installed. Most notable are apps such as Cast Play for TV, Miracast, Netflix, Amazon Prime Video, a TV recorder app, TVMC, and YouTube. I will now take a minute to install some additional apps needed to complete my review and continue. So I'm back, and the installation process did not go smoothly as expected. There are two things I would like to point out here. The first is the issue that I've been monitoring in recent TV boxes, where once you connect to the internet, the Google Play Store and the Play services do not update automatically, preventing you from logging into your Google account. This issue is usually fixed by a firmware update, however, there's none at this time. So to fix this problem, you have to open the APK Pure App Store and update the Play Store manually. Once this is done, the Play Store will resume working as it should and update itself and other apps on its own. That's the first one. The other issue is that the root switch feature included is not working. Whether it's in an off or on position, the root state does not change. The unfortunate thing is that it's stuck in the not rooted position. So there are some of my apps that require root access to work. I won't be able to use them in this review. These are the major issues I have at this point, which can be easily fixed by a firmware update. Nonetheless, let's continue. If I open Ada64, it shows that the manufacturer is Droid Logic and it runs on 4GB of DDR3 RAM, and that's according to the product description, and 64GB of internal storage, from which this is the remainder after the Android installation and all of the apps I've installed. The Bluetooth version is 4.2, and that's also according to the product description. The CPU, which is the Amlogic S905X3, is a quad-core Cortex A55 CPU clocked at 1.7 GHz, configured in 32-bit mode with support for only 32-bit ABIs, limiting it to only 32-bit applications. Its GPU is the Mali G31 with a refresh rate of 60Hz and OpenGL ES version 3.2. It has dual band 2.4 plus 5 GHz Wi-Fi support, as it shows here that the 5 GHz band is supported. The operating system is Android 9 Pie, and it shows here that the box is rooted, but that is incorrect as I have just shown you. The normal operating temperature is between 66 and 70 degrees Celsius, and this is already with the CPU clocked at 1.7 GHz, so there's definitely some overheating issues taking place, and I will confirm this later in the video. It comes with all of the decoders for the playback of 4K HDR videos, and videos with digital audio surround sound formats such as Dolby and DTS audio. And that's it for system and hardware information. Let's now have a look at its benchmarks. First, the results of its RAM copy speed, its internal storage read and write speeds, and the SATA storage expansion read and write speeds using a 500GB SATA SSD. The A95X Max II has a RAM copy speed of 2,870 megabytes per second. Its internal storage has a read speed of 72 megabytes per second and a write speed of 54, and the SATA storage expansion has a read speed of 216 megabytes per second and a write speed of 139. The RAM copy speed and the internal storage read and write speeds are consistent with similar models in its class. However, the SATA storage expansion recorded very high read and write speeds. In its dual Wi-Fi bands and Ethernet LAN speed tests, it resulted in some excellent results, where you have maximum bandwidth on both Wi-Fi bands and on the LAN port, achieving 100% of my 100 megabits per second internet service. This also indicates that the LAN port is a gigabit LAN port. In the Antutu benchmark, it scored 69,746. This is an average score compared to similar models in its class. However, it's slightly lower due to the 1.7 GHz CPU clock speed. The Geekbench 4 CPU benchmark resulted in a score of 739 single-core and 2,055 multi-core. I was expecting that this score would have been severely affected by the 1.7 GHz CPU clock speed, but it wasn't. My final benchmark, which is the 3D Mark Gamers Bench GPU benchmark, shows that this box does not have Vulkan support and it qualified only for the Ice Storm Extreme test and the Slingshot test. This resulted in a 5,561 Ice Storm Extreme test and a 512 Slingshot test. These scores are better than what I expected given its operating temperature. So that's the last of the benchmarks. I will now enter the scores on my rankings chart and let's see how it does. So the scores are in, and the A95X Max 2 is at position 35 in reference to Antutu benchmark scores, which is on the lower end of the S905X3 line of boxes. You can view this chart on my website in full spreadsheet format where you can view and compare the top TV boxes along with price comparison links. See the link in the description below this video. Moving along, as I showed you earlier, you can customize the launcher by changing its wallpaper, but there is no option to add personal images or custom wallpapers. If you would like to customize the appearance of your launcher, you have the option to use alternative launchers. Here I've installed the ADW Launcher 2 along with a Koi Fish Live wallpaper, and they both work without issues. With this launcher, you have long click menu pop-ups, horizontal scrolling pages, and drag and drop shortcuts features. This launcher is highly recommended for on-screen pointers from wireless air mouse, PC mouse, and mini touchpad keyboards, because the stock remote will have difficulty navigating these advanced features. For those interested in digital signage and would like to use this box to display content in vertical portrait mode, I'm sorry to report that this box does not support that feature. Now returning to the topic of root access, and here the Root Checker app shows that the box is not rooted, running on Android 9 operating system. Whether you turn the root switch on or off and reboot the box, it does nothing to alter the root access. This is clearly a firmware issue that can be fixed with a firmware update. If you are looking at this video and you are a developer of this box, please note that there's an urgent need to fix this issue. Its DRM information shows that it has Google Widevine Level 3 with no HDCP protection. What this simply means is that if you have a 4K Netflix account, Amazon Prime Video, Disney Plus, or any premium streaming service, this box will not provide the proper certification or security to protect against piracy. So, while most of the services will install and run on the box, it will be limited to the lowest basic quality. Only boxes with official Google certification and HDCP protection will be allowed to stream these services in HD and 4K quality. In certain cases, for example Netflix, the box will need special certification from the provider itself to stream their content in high quality. And here to confirm, in a Netflix movie description, there is no HD or HDR icon when I connect my 4K Netflix account. If I open Amazon Prime Video, some of the movies will show an HDR icon, but it will still show in basic quality. And what is any mobile device without YouTube? More than that, YouTube in HDR quality. The Android TV version of YouTube comes pre-installed and it plays videos in 4K quality. However, if you play a 4K HDR video, it does not trigger the HDR icon on my LG TV. I discovered that the version on the Aptoide App Store has this HDR feature, so since late last year, I've been advising my viewers to uninstall the version on their boxes and install the version from the Aptoide App Store. Here I'm playing a 4K HDR video and it triggers the HDR icon on my LG TV. The reason why you are not seeing the HDR icon is because it's being recorded by my capture card and then the signal is being bypassed to my LG TV. The A95X Max II comes with the official version of Miracast that plays in HD quality. Here I'm casting my mobile phone to the box without issues. If you would like to use your mobile phone as a remote to navigate the box, it comes pre-installed with CastPlay for TV. Simply scan the barcode with your mobile phone and install the app, search the network for the A95X and connect to it. It's now time to test the box for its 4K HDR video playback capability and to test its digital audio surround sound output. So first I'll start with the 4K HDR video playback using the VLC player with hardware acceleration set to full and audio pass-through enabled in the settings area.
a win for Barca would be enough, because it would give them the same number of points as Atletico. But
strength, fantastic from Diego Godin. Stay up as well.
Adriano. Here's Alves, tries a shot. And Courtois, there's the save you were looking for, Duncan.
Molly Mason looks to
Expect to get a penalty for that, surely. Let's have a look again.
Now, that was a perfect run. The 4K videos played perfectly and the HDR icon was triggered on my TV. The box has an HDMI 2.1 port which has a much higher bandwidth than HDMI 2.0, so that accounts for the smooth playback even on the Jellyfish video with very high bitrate. And now it's digital surround sound audio output. The box is connected to my receiver in HDMI pass-through configuration, and I'll be testing for Dolby Atmos, DTS:X, HD Master Audio, THX and Dolby True HD.
This is Dolby Atmos, the world's first object-based cinematic audio. With powerful moving audio that transcends from channels to moving around you with pinpoint accuracy.
Executioners, judges.
Welcome to the inside of your head.
So in similar fashion to most S905X3 boxes, it has all of the mentioned digital formats with the exception of Dolby True HD. The included internal SATA expansion port grants you the option to expand the box's storage up to 2 TB. The storage can then be used as removable storage to store content, or it can be converted to shared internal storage in the event that you may need to install large apps and games. Here I installed a 500GB SATA SSD and I will attempt to convert it to shared internal storage. So the process was successful. Here you can see I expanded the box's shared internal storage by 500GB. And for my final demonstration with my new shared internal storage, I will install some large Android games and test for graphics rendering, gamepad key mapping, and for overheating. So the games played okay, at least those that I managed to install played really well. There were other high graphics games that didn't play so well as the box doesn't have Vulkan support. The only key mapping app that works on this box with no root access is the Octopus Key Mapper. You have a bit of overheating around 80 degrees Celsius during gaming, but it doesn't go above that. So I highly recommend, if you intend to add a SATA hard drive, you consider adding an external cooling fan, as the hard drive itself will generate its own heat. Also, I checked the main board and there is no connector for adding a cooling fan like its previous model. In summary, the A95X Max II, in my opinion, should have been released a long time ago when the majority of the S905X3 models were coming online. Even though it's a great TV box and one of the few that provides the option to add expandable storage, I feel a little bit robbed as its previous model had already set a standard that it should have followed and even added some additional features of its own. The two issues, which are the Google updates and the malfunctioning root switch, can be easily fixed with a firmware update. But one of the features I was really looking forward to was the inclusion of a cooling fan that would have made a lot of difference in performance, allowing its CPU to be clocked higher, at least around 1.9 GHz, and this would have automatically filtered down to all of the performing benchmarks. So my high expectations were a bit dampened, as I was expecting it to be even better than its previous model. So the question is it a